Hello again, my Wulong Fallen Dynasty friends. This is Kadimo with another build video, this time with something that I decided to baptize, the mighty Lingbao Daode Hammer Tank. Now, the name might suggest that you are a bit tanky with this build. It's not the case. I just like the way the tank feels into this build's name because you will be hitting like a tank. You'll be doing quite a lot of damage, especially when it comes to melee attack power. Not so much with the spells, although the spells will be doing significant amount of damage and will be helping you achieve even higher damage with the hammer itself. Onto the build straight away. Now, as the name kind of tells, I'm using a combination of the Grace of Lingbao Tianzu, the Pure 1 set, and the Grace of Daode Tianzu, the Pure 1 sets. Let's start with the Daode, the Lingbao set, I mean. Now, for those who are not familiar with what this set does, this set will give you quite a few good buffs, as I said, which are both good for both PvE and PvP purposes. Now, the first one will give you spirit vulnerability to the target enemy upon a successful martial art hit. The second one will give you power drop to the target enemy that a wizardry spell hits. The third one will give you damage amplification to the target enemy upon a successful fatal strike. The fourth one will give you negative effect duration on enemies of nearly plus 6%. And the last one will give you the mighty Principle of Lingbao effect. Now, what does this do? This increases the HP damage dealt in proportion to the number of negative effects on enemy targets. The maximum amount of additional damage can be achieved when there are 3 negative effects on a target. Now, to put this in perspective, according to some tests that I have done myself, and also I have confirmed this with some research online. Now, if you apply 1 negative effect on the target, you will get a damage increase of around 9%. If the target has 2 negative effects, you will having a damage boost of around 15%. If the target has 3 negative effects on them at the same time, the damage boost with the Principle of Lingbao set will be of 22% more damage. Now, this is quite useful, of course, and this means you'll be hitting like a tank. That's why the build is called the mighty Lingbao Daode hammer tank build. Now, for the Daode set, for those who are not familiar, what this does, the whole thing will give you quite a good set boost as well, but we are only using 2 pieces, and with these 2 pieces we'll get deflect spirit consumption reduction of 2.5%, and most importantly, the haste upon deflection. So every time you deflect a hit, you will get the haste buff. Now, onto the weapons and what we are using and how we are putting these pieces together. We have the Wolf Fang Club Hammer. It's a very good hammer. It comes with the effect melee attack damage increase of 3.4%. This cannot be changed, but what I did change on this hammer myself, I applied melee attack power of plus 19, flame attack power, and toxin attack power. Now, for the secondary weapon, you can see I'm using the Ring Pommel Saber, simply because it's going to help get the Grace of Lingbao set bonuses going on. I don't really use the saber here. As you can see, there's a massive gap between the attack power of the hammer and the attack power of the sword. This is a plus 9, this is a plus 8, but I won't even bother putting this a plus 9 because honestly, it's not there to be used. It's there just for the Grace of Lingbao set. For the ranged weapons, I'm using a yellow shoulder crossbow that comes with the Grace of Lingbao set. This one, again, is just there for the set. I did apply toxin attack power, damage received, negative effect duration on enemies, and flame attack power, but these will not really be active because you will not have this one selected. The one I have selected, and that I'm constantly having it on for the buffs that you get, is the bamboo crossbow that comes with a set bonus requirement mitigation, and this will give you a damage dealt of 2.2% increase, toxin attack power, and flame attack power. Now, for the armor pieces, I'm using Entertainer's Bandana, simply because it comes with the Grace of Daode Tianzu, the Pure 1, but also because it allows me to apply this special effect, damage to enemies inflicted with negative effects increased by 3.1%. Now the build will be surrounding the idea of having the targets with negative effects, so the more damage you can pile up from your gear pieces, the better. Now, this one comes by default with a positive effect duration of 3.6%. This cannot be changed. I also apply Toxin Attack Power, Flame Attack Power, and also Slow on Enemy upon Wizardry Spell. So every time you hit an enemy with a Wizardry Spell, this will apply the slow debuff on them. This is especially useful in PvP. It can be useful in PvE, but you won't see the enemies affected by the slow debuff that much. It doesn't really make a difference onto them. But in PvP, when you're fighting different enemies, and you see a lot of people using the haste buff in PvP. So if you use, let's say, the Lion Roar spell and you hit with the radius of the Lion Roar shout, you will immediately apply the slow and you will remove the haste from them as well. So you get the best of two worlds. Now, for the chest piece, we are using the Giant Wrestler Podrums. This one also because it comes with the Grace of Daode, Tianzhu the Pure One. But again, because it allows me to apply the damage increase to enemies affected with negative effects of 3.2%. It comes with default with Spirit Sustainability of plus 18, which is not too bad. It's quite useful for both PvE and PvP, as I said. I also apply Toxin Attack Power, Flame Attack Power, and Poison Accumulation on enemies. For the next piece, we are using the White Horse General Gauntlets. This one because it comes with the Grace of Lingbao, Tianzhu the Pure One, and also it comes with by default with the melee attack damage increase of 3.4%. The idea with this build is to hit as hard as possible, to do as much damage as possible per hit, so this will also help. Now, I also apply Toxin Attack Power, Flame Attack Power, Poison Accumulation on enemies, and Burns Accumulation on enemies. Now, for the last piece of the armor, I am using the Hand Soldier Footwear. This comes with default with Restore HP of 2.4%, but I also applied, as you can see, that little damage to enemies with negative effects increase of 3.1%. I have also got Toxin Attack Power, Flame Attack Power, and Poison Accumulation on enemies. Now, for the accessories, the number one thing that you need to worry yourselves about is to get accessories that come with melee attack damage, which both of these do come. But also another thing that I want you to take notice is this particular one will give me Spirit Sustainability, Spirit Gain, Toxin Attack Power. These are all useful for this particular build. The Poison Accumulation Reduction and the Dragon Cure Spot HP Recovery are a bonus. They don't really matter too much, but they help. Now for the other one, again, most important thing is the melee attack damage, which is the priority for the build, but also in this case I want you to take notice on the damage reduction upon deflection. So if you remember the Grace of Daode, this will give you haste upon deflection, but now you will also buff yourself with damage reduction upon deflection, allowing you not only to take significantly less damage from your enemy hits, but also be able to maneuver yourself, even move around a bit faster. Now this one comes with default of morale rank points gain of plus 6%, which you use for PvE to get your morale up faster. Water Phase spell, unfortunately, it's useless for this build. And heaviness accumulation, it can help, especially for PvP with all those people using heavy buffed weapons. Lightning attack power, it's not massive in this build, but as you can see, I am using the lightning bolt for debuff purposes, which I will explain shortly. So it does help a little bit. For the spells, I'm using the Venom Snare. That's why I have poison accumulation on all my pieces. I'm using the Bursting Fireball as a finisher, and also because it allows us to remove poison from ourselves if you get poison, and also to remove those poison puddles from the floor if they are around. It's an all-in-one-go spell, and it does a significant amount of damage on top of applying the burn effect as well. Now, Lion's Roar, yes, it's still broken in my opinion. You still take 0 damage when being hit by a fatal strike if this buff is on. But most importantly, and the number one reason, well, the number two reasons, the two main reasons why this is on this build is because we are using light, medium, and only one piece of heavy armor, we don't have that much defense. So this will apply a buff to ourselves that reduces the damage intake by 50%, which will help you stay alive and be a bit more tanky than you would be by default. But on the other hand, and this is the most important part, is every time you use the Lion Roar, if you are close enough to the enemy, the radius of the shout will hit your enemy. Especially in PvP, this can be quite useful, because if you hit the enemy with the shockwave, not only they will be forced to lock onto you as the spell states, but also you will be benefiting from the power drop on enemy from wizardry spell that you get from the principle of Lingbao. Also, because of what we have on the headpiece, you will be applying slow on enemy upon wizardry spell. So just by using the Lion Roar close enough to an enemy, again, especially in PvP, not only you will be removing any buffs that they might have applied on themselves, such as the haste spell or the Watcher spell that allows you to reduce the cost of your deflects. Not only you will remove those, but you will also apply the slow and the power drop debuffs. Now, because we are using the Grace of Lingbao, the more debuffs the enemy has, the more damage you will be doing. So just by using the Lion Roar close enough, the enemy will immediately have 2 negative effects, so you will be doing straight away from the start 15% more damage, which is not too shabby. Now, the Lightning Bolt, as I explained earlier, this has a main reason to be useful for PvP, which is enemies that are using the Lion Roar can be removed from them if you use the Lightning Bolt. Now, it's not here for damage, no, it's here to remove the Lion Roar buff from the enemies, but also because the Lion Roar and other buffs that they might be using cost quite a lot of spirit, 9 out of 10 times when I use the Lightning Bolt, not only I will remove the Lion Roar buff from them, but I will stun them. So this allows me to immediately finish them off, because they will be having those 2 debuffs on them, giving me an increased 15% damage. So they buff themselves, they run out of spirit, I use the Lightning Bolt, I stun them, and simultaneously remove the Lion Roar, apply slow, and apply power drop. There's no way to go bad with this combination. Now, last but not least, for the Divine Beast, we are using the Tank Shi for obvious reasons. This gives us a damage to enemies with negative effect increase of 10.2%. Also, it does have enemy status effect accumulation increased by 7.2%. We also get wizardry spell damage buff by 4.3%, and it does apply the power drop on enemy upon wizardry spell. Now, this one is repeated because the Grace of Lingbao, as you can see, does exactly the same thing. As you can see here on the second one, power drop to enemy upon wizardry spell. Unfortunately, this one is repeated. I wish it did give something else, but it is what it is. It's still a very strong combination, and you can't go wrong with it. Now, if we go on to the build itself and the combination of virtues, I'm using 10 for the wood virtue, 15 for the fire virtue, 75 for the earth virtue, and 53 for the metal virtue. Now, these things combined with the weapons themselves, we got 670 with the hammer. These don't really matter. For the defense, we got 538. The reason why we got 538, as I'm about to show, is except for my leg pieces, which are all the way up to +9, these are only up to +8. So if you were to get all the armor pieces all the way up to +9. The final number you would probably get here for defense would be something around the area of 560, maybe 580, something like that. Physical resistance, we got 14.2%, spirit defense 141, spirit sustainability to 110, which is quite good, spell duration 105%, which is not a lot, stealth doesn't really matter here, spirit gain rate attacking 107%, from deflecting 137%. So every time you deflect, you will regain a lot of spirit. Now, we are using a slow weapon. You have to keep in mind that if you are playing PvE and you are fighting a boss, best thing to do is play defensively, deflect their attacks, and then counter. If you are playing PvP, this can also be a strategy, but I like to play PvP with a mix of being aggressive and being trapping the enemies as I go along with pretending that I'm going to attack when I'm not. Spirit consumption rate with martial arts 86%, which is great. Wizardry spells 70%, which is awesome, and deflect 97.5%, which is not a lot. Most important here is that we got agility A, so we are moving quite fast, we are quite mobile, and that is actually quite good. Now, best thing to do is to demonstrate how this build works, and I'm going to do that against my test subject, the usual one, which is Cow Cow, my favorite lab rat for testing all my builds. And I'm going to fight him twice, so you guys can see for yourselves the damage output that is to be expected when using this build, what you should aim at, like what you should be doing first, casting the spells, what spells to cast first, what martial arts to use and when to use them, and any changes that come along. Now, one last thing that I would mention is, when I'm fighting PvE, such as Cow Cow, for example, one change that I make is the lightning bolt. Because this spell is here exclusively to remove Lion Roar from other players, I swap this for the damage amplification spell, which will allow you to do even more damage against Cow Cow, for example. So if I'm playing PvE, I use amplified damage. If I'm playing PvP, I use the lightning bolt, and that's the only change I make. The rest of the build remains exactly the same as you go along. I hope you guys like the build and give it a try. I can't state how fun it is to use this build. It's absolutely laughable. You do so much damage with all those debuffs applied that is just crazy. But you will see for yourselves with the examples fighting Cow Cow, and I will also give you some examples of what to expect when dueling other players in PvP, so you guys have an idea of how to use the build and what strategies to go for when using this build, and what kind of damage you should expect when using it. Again, I know I say this every time, but if you haven't subscribed just yet, please considering doing so. We are very, very close to hit those 2,000 subscribers, for which I'm very much thankful, and I appreciate you all. Leave a like or any questions in the comment section down below as well, and let's go for Cow Cow. Now, you want to start straight away by using the amplified damage, get close to the guy, poison the man, use the martial arts. He's got 4 debuffs already, as you can see. Counter, deflect. He's now got 5 debuffs. He's got 6 debuffs. Look at how much damage you will be doing. Deflect. Hit. Look at his HP. It just disappears. Every hit hits harder than the previous one. You just do so much damage with this build, is insane. And he is already finished. Now, let's do it one more time for good measure. Remember, amplified damage I had already casted. Poison, martial art. Fire to the face. Deflect. Counter. And boom, he's stunned. Look at all those debuffs already. Do some more fire. And look at that. the man is debuffed to the bone. Not only he's taking tremendous amounts of damage over time from the poison and the fire simultaneously, but we are also hitting quite hard. He is already dead. GG Cow Cow, thank you so much for being a good test subject. Now for PvP. I'm only going to start with this one because it's the only fight that I'm actually fighting 2 versus 1. Although one of the enemies was cool enough to allow me to do one at a time instead of getting ganked. In any case, you can also see there's a bit of lag going on, which was kind of putting me off. I wasn't really able to read the lag straight away, but you can see it is going on. There's a bit of a delay when I hit and his character reacts, or when I hit and he actually deflects. So it was putting me off a little bit. But as you can see, I still do quite significant amount of damage. 160 damage. Now, I do the Lion Roar again to apply those debuffs and to buff myself. He deflects. As you can see, when he deflects, he gets like 4 buffs at the same time. So he's got, his build is mainly focused on getting buffs from deflecting. Look at how many buffs he's got going on. I applied the debuff. Lucky I got stunned and he nearly killed me with that ice spell. Again, I applied the debuff. I try to get some distance because I was high spirit, and I honestly get annoyed by players that just fight jumping around. So I was trying to get some space. As you can see, every time I hit without any buffs, I'm doing around 118, 116 damage. But I thought at this point, the best thing to do was try to trap him with the poison to be able to finish him off as soon as he got poisoned. And that's what I've done. I finish him off. Unfortunately, his friend, who was the host, didn't realize I was ready to fight him. And he decided to go to get his friend up, which I was not having, so I just decided to finish him off straight away, get that poison going, and he's dead. So yeah, I'm sorry, normally I wouldn't do that, but I did signal I was about to fight by using the Lion Roar. I wasn't going to fight the same guy again. Now on to a more 1 versus 1 situation. Now you can see this guy buffed himself with the ice weapons by using the Lion Roar close enough. Not only I remove his buff, but I also apply those lovely debuffs on him. Unfortunately, I missed that one. But as you can see, I'm taking quite little damage per hit. He was doing like 20 damage per hit. I get him poison. He gets himself cleansed of the poison. You see, I took all those to the face, but didn't really matter. It didn't do a lot of damage. He managed to deflect me here. I don't know how he actually hit me with that one. It happens. I guess it's just the normal expected lag. I get that Lion Roar again to apply those debuffs on him. Get some deflects going to buff myself. He gets stunned and I finish him off with a Fatal Strike. Now, next fight is going to be very quick. Remember what I said about the Lightning Bolt? So I remove the spells. I was going to use the Lightning Bolt, but I used the poison instead, and he is already dead. But I was about to use the Lightning Bolt to remove his buffs. No matter, I can always do that against this guy. But in any case, he was dancing around, so I decided to signal I was ready to fight by casting the Lion Roar. As you can see, I'm gently tapping the guard button just to pretend that I'm going to attack. Unfortunately, he manages to counter me. He applies poison. You can see his poison is actually doing quite a lot of damage, but the secret here with poison, and I said this many times before, is don't panic. Get back on your feet, stay calm, stay cool, and you will be able to survive. I managed to stun him, Fatal Strike, and he's dead. Now, a good example of how good the Lightning Bolt actually is this guy. You see, we both used Lion Roar, but he's now at no spirit. I use the Lightning Bolt, I remove the Lion Roar, and simultaneously get the stun for the Fatal Strike. This is what the Lightning Bolt is there for. Now, next one, as you can see, This guy is also using quite a tanky build. I got the debuffs on him, but unfortunately there was a little bit of lag. That hit should have connected, and then I mistimed my deflect there. I get the buffs back. He's using Lion Roar as well, but I'm still doing 150 damage per hit, so even with this Lion Roar on, I'm still doing quite a significant amount of damage. See? 159, and that's without buffs. Without the debuffs, I mean. Now, you see 162, 268, and I finish him off with the counter. Now, for the next one, I fought this guy before, so I kinda know how he plays. He runs around and he just does running attacks, which those are quite predictable. I mean, I can easily deflect those. Of course, I'm not deflect every single one of them, but most of them. You can see here, for some reason, the counter didn't connect, but look at the difference between the damage I do and the damage that he does. And he's also using a hammer. I get the deflects, I get the debuffs going. He does buff himself with the guard. For some reason that didn't connect, but his did connect. That was a bit strange. But I get another deflect, get that counter. He tries to do that nonsense again. I miss the lightning bolt, but I don't miss the attack. I get him stunned, fatal strike, and he is done. Now for the last one. Quite an easy fight. Lion Roar for the debuffs. He makes the mistake of casting this too close. I poison the man, he gets stunned, and I immediately finish the fight nearly straight away. I get those fires for the buff, and that's it, he's dead. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a lovely day. Cheerio!